one. We'll get it started, I guess, for meeting minutes, and I'm thinking
I didn't send any. You're right.
we had the ones from you and I, but kind
Yeah.
of the dual one that we had done in March, right? We approved the
Mhm.
early March ones, not the later ones. So and okay,
No,
right?
maybe.
Because I think you and I met. Maria was ill. Lori
Yep.
couldn't make it. Because I remember texting Maria going, "Hey, are you joining?" She's like, "Oh, I'm not making it," and
Sure not.
that was caught early. That was missed in a long list of text messages, right? So
Right.
I guess I just didn't roll back far enough. So it was you and I for one, and then and then I it might have been the four of us. I think
Yeah,
it
we
actually was the four of us. So
yeah.
but okay, but we didn't see those. So, but I still think that those might have been the end of March versus April. I don't think it really matters that much. We'll just say we'll need to approve them, at the next opportunity. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought the second one was technically, it was like April 1st, like technically April, because then we had the conversation, do we have a true April or do we now call it early May and kind of,
Right.
Do we
am
go
I
early? Yeah. Do we go
right?
early in the month versus late in the month? And
Right, because I think the thought was if we switch to start going early in the month, then we actually do have April um finances, but usually we wouldn't, and so but at least it would be very close that we would definitely have March finances, whereas
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
our
yeah.
third week meeting we wouldn't have the previous month and all that. Anyway,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
but
So,
doesn't
okay.
matter.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, probably no joke that we probably did have it on the first. So anyway, okay. So yeah, so if we move on to the second one, the whole kids at play scenario. So
Yeah.
I did see your message go out, but why don't you go ahead and talk through it in case Chris, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it
Yep.
and kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah, so I'd love to jump in. That's like what I want the majority of this meeting to be
Yep,
about.
yep,
A couple other tiny things. There's one thing on volleyball I do want to make sure we get settled tonight, but otherwise it's just minor updates, nothing we really need to spend time on that I think. But the main thing is obviously the kids at play adjustments, the kind of new model. And I also met with the two program directors. I'm going to say program directors. It's technically assistant program directors, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to wait for Chris to pop back because I know you know all of this.
yeah.
Or most of this.
Sorry, I have to let the dog out.
No worries. But yeah, so quick summary of how everything happened. Chris, I know I wrote, a lot of it out, but just to make sure you understand and are fully caught up. So basically, it sounds like the state of Massachusetts is starting the process on cracking down on the division between what counts as a camp and what counts as a program. This has started from there's some like town manager listservs. Apparently there was a training that included like board of health and town managers, things like that, and the conversation is starting. We've always lived in, I'll call the gray area, along with pretty much every other town that runs programs similar to ours, Mendon, Grafton, blah blah blah. In that we have always been a program, we've always run the same way, we've always been a program, and it's even in talking to lawyers, like there is no clear cut yes no definition. There isn't even been like a court case that they can point to with precedent. Like everything's pretty vague. So there is some wording about what camps are, but there's not really wording to say like this is exactly a program, which allows for some of this gray. So that's really what changed. It's not like nothing really changed it. They more just said, hey, we're going to start really looking into programs that are in this gray. And because we had so much changeover in Board of Health, in the town manager, they kind of brought those questions to Upton unfortunately they did it, the spring before, which timing
Yeah.
is what it is. Um, and so the question was, are we running as a program? If we are, which the answer is obviously yes, is that okay? Is that acceptable based on the criteria of what makes a camp and what makes a program? If it's not, which they decided the way we were running, they don't feel comfortable continuing to call a pure program, even though it's always been that way and other towns are that way, with kind of the increased eyes and discussion from the state level. Then either we need to transition to a true camp or transition to a true program and kind of stop being in the gray. The initial conversation was we have to transition to a true camp, and if we don't, we're not running Kids at Play. That was where a lot of the scare came from, because there's just too many steps to be able to transition to a camp between 3 weeks ago and the start of this summer. It just wouldn't be possible. And as we all know, we spend all our money at the beginning of the fiscal year and we make it all up at the end. So there's really also not an option to not run Kids at Play, because we start our year in a hole and we have to dig ourselves out of it. That's the nature of our department.
Yep.
So the kind of, in talking through, we had a big meeting with lawyers and Board of Health and town nurse and town manager and blah blah blah, is that we do have to turn into a true program. So what edits need to be made to turn into a true program?
We have to
Criteria.
We have to turn into a true camp.
No, we have to turn into a true program this year. We have to turn into
Oh.
a true camp next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So this summer, we have to turn into a true program with kind of the good faith that in the future, we will make transitions to become a full camp. It just isn't possible before this summer. So the transition into a true program for this summer is that there were two criteria that they said we were getting kind of tagged on. One is it's pretty much considered a camp if it's kind of the equivalent of like a daycare scenario. So full day, all day, every day, using it as childcare, in a full sense for like a summer type of vibe. If you fit into that criteria, they're really trying to push you into becoming a camp. The second one that they tagged us on was if you're like a many activities throughout the day, doing all sorts of different style things, that's more of like a camp theme. Whereas if you're, a 2-week soccer skills event, thing, you could be a program. So it needs to be more single activity. The way that we are kind of getting around, quote unquote, the program versus camp for this summer is to turn into half days. So they're half days and they're single activity in spirit. So we're going to run 2 morning programs simultaneously. One will be beach and water activities. So that will be housed under the tent as kind of their home base. They will be allowed to do boating, which is kayaking and paddleboarding, swimming, and hanging out in the beach and tent area. Go ahead, Kristen. Do you need to let the dog back in or something?
Eventually, yeah. No, I have arthritis on my hip, so I need to stand up.
Got it. No worries. So yeah, so that's going to be one of them. There'll be a morning session of that and an afternoon session of that. And it will still be, some structured activities, but also some free form. Kids can kind of go in and out of the water a bit as they please. Obviously we have to have all the safety protocols along with it. And then the simultaneous program, there'll be one session in the morning, one in the afternoon, will be, I'm calling it recreation activities. So it's really field games, arts and crafts, that kind of thing. That will be pavilion, softball field, tennis courts, and basketball courts. That's the location for that one. And it'll be kind of everything else. They said as long as we're really separating, there's no going in the water. It's separate. The kids don't interact with each other. The staff aren't sharing responsibilities. These are 2 independent programs that are being run technically in different locations, even though they're next to each other, just both at Kiwanis Beach Park. And the morning, so people have kind of 4 programs that they're picking between. They're either picking a morning of beach, a morning of rec activities, afternoon of beach, afternoon of rec activities, or only a half day by doing only one of the mornings or only one of the afternoons. So that's kind of the plan. What I would love to dive into with you all, especially, is anything that you have been thinking of or can think of that logistically or safety wise, or how to sign people up, how to staff, anything that you can think of that maybe I have not already been thinking of. Again, I did meet with the program directors this morning about some of those details, start working through the, check-in and check-out process and all of that. But I'm sure there's going to be things that we didn't consider. Like even this morning, we were talking about, I had kind of staggered the check-in with one program and check out with the other. And they said the hard thing about that is if you have staff that are working both morning and afternoon, you've overlapped. So now your ratios are off because you have too many kids because of that overlap. So, one of the things that we talked about this morning is in the camp regulations, camps only have to run at a 1-to-10 ratio for staff to kids. We run at a 1-to-6 ratio, so we're well within. Even though I know we don't have to because we're not a camp, we're well within. Yeah. One of the things they suggested is just put very clearly in the wording, we run at a 1-to-6 ratio during all activities. During check-in and check-out, we may have to go beyond that, right? We may not be able to fulfill a 1-to-6 ratio exactly. We will be close, but we may not be able to be exact during check-in and check-out. We're also going to have the middle check-in and check-out only be a half hour. It's going to same half hour. So people are coming and going during the same half hour in the middle of the day. So little details like that really help figure it out. But yeah, any questions, thoughts, or things that you all, go ahead.
Yeah, so what happens with field trips then?
Yeah. So field trips are still going to be able to be run. We just are going to require that people are both signed up for a morning and an afternoon session. They have to be signed up for both in order to be on a field trip. It's a similar process that we had last year. We required them to be signed up for Thursday. So now my program directors just have to scan 2 lists instead of, 4 lists instead of 1 list, to double check they're signed up for both, but that will be clearly written out. Mm-hmm. And the half day sessions are going to be exactly half price, right? So we're taking in the exact same amount of money. It's just divided in half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I know when we had met in person with everybody, did the lawyer come back and say we're good with that? They've definitely come back and said, okay, we're okay with this for the year as long as we're moving, we're directionally moving and changing to that. And Karen is good with that.
Kristen?
Kristen.
Kristen.
I don't know why I said Karen.
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yeah. No worries. Kristen. Yep. So Kristen was on all the emails. Every question the lawyer asked, I responded. Again, Board of Health. Everybody checked off before she actually signed off on any offer letters. And so at this point, offers have been sent out. Most have been sent back. We're kind of moving forward with that. We did lose out on our program director, kind of that adult option, but otherwise, we're kind of moving forward with staff, but yes, Kristen double checked that everything was a yes from the lawyers and then signed off on starting to offer to staff.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's just one of those, we'll be able to see ahead of time who signed up for what. Again, I think it's a math exercise and making sure we have the right amount of counselors and some of them are going to cover water, some of them are not going to cover water, right? That might actually be a blessing, right? Some might go, I don't really want to go in the water, right? And be there, others may not.
So we were talking about staffing earlier today because we have such a young staff. That's just the nature of counselors. A lot of them don't drive. So to the best of our ability, we're still going to do full day shifts. And because not most people don't want to spend the whole day in the water, warm or cold. We are going to say that people running full shifts, majority of them are going to do a split. So if they did morning beach and water, they'll do afternoon rec and activity, rec activities, and vice versa. So everyone's still pretty much gonna have their shift in the water, but there might be a few exceptions here and there. That's the other thing is we may, so my deal was, today talk to you all, today talk to directors, and then reach out to staff and families, tomorrow / the next few days. Because we may actually lose, especially some counselors. I haven't sent out the, declining, sorry, you don't get the job emails yet. So we may lose some counselors if they're like, I can't get picked up in the middle of the day. Like, that's just not an option. From, the people who can't drive if they have a house.
And that's so I'm with you. And that's if the enrollment drops in the afternoon where registrations is only for morning, right?
Or vice versa, they get dropped off in the middle of the day to work an afternoon shift. So one or the other, yeah. So there's gonna be a lot of moving pieces. Check in and check out and like attendance and making sure everyone's where they are, making sure the kids don't interact, making sure the staff don't interact. All that stuff's gonna be a lot. We kind of came up with a plan this afternoon with the directors. I told them, the fair warning is we have no idea how this is going to land. This could be phenomenal and people are super excited and they sign up for even more dates because they have half-day options. This could be neutral where people are like, I still want it all day and it costs the same. It really doesn't matter to me. I just have to click 2 buttons instead of 1, whatever. But no big difference. And this could be terrible and people are like, it's weird, my kid just is gonna spend 3 hours in a row swimming, like that's insane, I don't get it and I don't want it, and we'll go to Grafton or Mendon or someone else. So who knows? I do think, Rick, because I have said this very clearly to Kristen, but I do think coming from you, we might want to send like a heads up email that like we're gonna go over budget this year between the weird staffing stuff. Anytime staff are clocking in and out more often, it adds more time because people can clock in up to 15 minutes early, they can clock out up to 15 minutes late, they overlap a bit to help with check-in and check-out. It does, it just bleeds.
Do you think that that's gonna happen though? You think we're gonna go over the 270 this year?
I don't think we're going to go over the 270. I think we're going to go over what we make.
Oh, okay. So right, that's well, yeah, and I think
we've been whittling down how much we roll over, right? And so how much we have to roll over if we spend more than we make by more than the amount we have to roll over. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess I didn't get actually, I know the financials are on here, but I didn't get a chance to go through and look and go, okay, how are some of the registrations going, and is it?
It's still too. I mean, we have our base, right? We always have our base, and I pulled it and I put the very basic numbers there, but we get most of ours as right before things fill up. Plus we stopped advertising for a bit. I haven't pushed any advertising until we got the final sign off. And then honestly, I didn't push any advertising because I need to manually move people over and open the new programs. And I want there to be less of those families. In the next few days, I need to move everyone over, open up the new programs, and then start advertising again. So we're probably a bit low, honestly, just because we've kind of been dead in terms of being in people's face. But again, where this is always our lull. We get the January signups and then the right before.
Sure, and I think it's just one of those. But the message isn't necessarily that we're not going to necessarily go over our spend number. No. At least we don't think we would, because based on where we're at right now, which looks to be 224-ish, somewhere in there, right? I don't foresee that we're going to go over the 270 mark. No. And but to your point, it may be one of those that the the inbound revenue hasn't quite caught up. So
That's my worry. I don't remember how much our rollover was at the beginning of the fiscal year, but it wasn't a lot.
oh, I have that somewhere, and actually it's higher than you think it was.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't have it open, but I will try
Anyway.
to find that in the next little bit.
So I guess more what I'm saying is I would kind of coming from the chair,
Yeah,
I would have
yeah.
something to Kristen and the finance committee to just say the reality with this last minute shift, this lull in being able to kind of continue our normal marketing and offerings and communications and blah 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 blah, there is a chance that we're going to be low on registrations. And this new model, we have no way to predict how successful, we can't base last year's or
And-
previous year's models on it. So just
Yeah.
like, sending out the warning, if we come
Yep.
under, I don't want anybody to be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, and especially if, yeah, we've got a great opportunity in front of us because of how we're going to do the programs as a morning and then an afternoon, that maybe we're only going to be taking in half the amount. And yeah, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of counselors that we could drop and stuff, but not all, like you said, right? So yeah, it's gonna be
Right.
It's gonna be a fun one. I mean, and Chris, just so you're aware, as we were sitting across, and I'm like, okay, well, if you think that there's not an opportunity here to go this summer, I went, then say goodbye. Well, I'll point this way, right?
Mhm.
I went, say goodbye to her, because then there's, unless the town's gonna pony up money to pay her salary,
Mhm.
because we're not gonna be taking it in, and how do we pay her? So,
Right.
I mean, it just, I think, yeah, they felt it. I still feel with the camp of, getting it to a camp level in the future is still going to be a challenge with some of the medical requirements that are
Mhm.
that are going to be in there as well.
Yeah.
But we'll block and tackle and see how we work that going forward. But I mean, I do, I like the structure that's outlined, of kind of going, all right, hey, that's water or land-based things half day, and water or land-based things in half day, and
Yeah.
someone could say water all day, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So-
There are some kids, it's the only reason they're there. It's all they want to do. There are some kids that don't want to go in the water at all. So the thing is, I think it's really going to be interesting, because if this is successful, we could potentially, in a very upfront and honest and transparent way, go back and say, look, actually this worked out even better. We don't know if we need to transition to a camp. People love the half day model. We're working out the logistics, blah, blah, blah. And it also might be, but we need a few years to rebound. So we're going to hire a few less staff, offering a few less, knowing we're going to get small registrations, and try to kind of build it up with this new model. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know where we're going. I'm just focused on this summer. But I fear that we are going to have a lot lower revenue than we thought, which we were already worried before all of this, just based on, history and stuff. So
Yeah.
I will also put it out there just so that you all are aware. I had a really good conversation with Kristen, where she, basically just apologized for not understanding the consequences. She's only at 2 months in the position now. So this was,
Yeah.
Everything hit her. She had the town meeting and budget, end of the budget season, the book,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Everything was crazy. So I get
Yeah.
not understanding the, A plus B equals C of all of this. But anyway, she just said she should have just sat down with us and helped, had a better understanding of what all the moving parts meant. So that was a good conversation.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So by the way, we rolled rolled from fiscal year 25 into 26, we rolled 115,000.
Really?
That's like half of the budget, isn't
Like-
it?
That I got that from Kenny.
I thought that was much lower.
Yeah, I know, but no, I
Huh.
at one point I had gone back to Kenny and I had gotten the last couple of years of stuff on the revolving account. So both rec
Okay.
and parks, right? Just to make sure, you know, like we knew where we were. And, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, we went from like 160 coming out of 24 to 25
Yeah.
to 115. So we
We were
crunched it hard, right?
Right.
But yeah, hopefully we won't be hitting it that hard again.
Well, so but the reality is, right, so we're at 225, let's say now for spend. There's gonna be, I don't know, you're better at math than me, but a couple tens of thousands more in the spend column.
Yep. Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah, and this is through April. Well, it's the April reports, which is really through March, so there's still 3 months to go. Yeah,
Right. But then the revenue is at 90.
yeah,
So that's the thing, like, if you look at that 115 number, especially if things go worst case scenario where people are asking for either full refunds or half refunds.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean-
Hopefully it goes in the right direction, but
yeah,
we're not that
Revenue-
far off of it being a problem if
Yeah,
things go if this plummets, basically if this is a disaster.
yeah. I mean, revenue for the last 3 months last fiscal year was 114. So, or just shy of 115,000. So,
Okay.
if that's the case, then, 115 in terms of where we are with 81, and then, maybe some change for 2 other months. Yeah, not fantastic, but not bad either. So,
I mean,
yeah, okay,
I would say best case scenario, like if we match last year, right, we're still coming under where we're making less than we're spending. Not
Yeah.
115 under, but we're making under.
yeah,
Worst
think so.
case scenario, we're coming too far under where we're still saying that we're eating a big chunk of that 115. If
Yeah.
only worst
Yeah,
case,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying
Yeah,
best
no,
case we come
absolutely.
under, worst case we come real under.
Yep.
So I think, like I said, that's why I think at this point a very honest and open email from you to people saying this is our scenario. Again, this is why we've been sending up the flag of we've got to pull some of these,
Yeah.
expenses off this account. It's just not sustainable. Here's all the proof, and then now with this craziness.
Yeah.
Plus all of the cost of turning it to a camp. The net, we didn't budget for any of that. So next
No,
year,
yeah,
going to be a ton of costs associated with transitioning to a camp.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Also, I
and-
think it's going to be minor, but there's something now about a longevity pay that has been reduced to 5 years. So now I hit 5 years. I don't know if I qualify, but if I do, that's something we didn't budget for. That would be added to my pay. That we just brought it up at the department head meeting because none of us had put it in our budgets because
Right.
they just voted on it and it's going to start this year. But obviously, we all submitted our budgets last year.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Be back
So-
in 1 second.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a couple moving parts. I think it's quite small at the 5-year mark, but it's still technically not there.
Okay. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, and reality is, 2007's been locked in for almost a year now, right? And Thursday night, we're trying to lock in 2028. So, yeah, neither one of them are planned. Although, I mean, granted, we did up our spend piece, but that's, with different values that we were anticipating. So,
Right.
yeah, we'll get.
So
figure it
I
out.
guess transitioning back to, because my biggest focus is the next few days I need to do all the messaging to our newly offered and onboarding staff, and all the families that are currently registered, and then also put on the website for anybody looking to register, right? It's three kind of columns. um this new model. So, think maybe putting your parent cap on if you were to sign up for a summer program for your kid. What questions would you have? What worries would you have? What, kind of looking at where you're like, oh, I would want to know this, or we haven't discussed this, or how is this going to work?
Yeah, I think the thing that would concern me is there still early drop off, right? Is there still late pickup
Mhm.
for those that are in the end?
Yeah.
And then what's happening in that time in the middle, right?
Yeah.
There's a half an hour in between there. What happens there?
Yeah, is there a late pickup for the noon-ish pickup?
No. So there's only early drop off for the very morning and only late pickup for the very afternoon. But the middle of the day is just 12 to 12:30.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as long as that's clear. And I mean, most of the late pickups and the early drop-offs are people who work full-time, I'm assuming, so.
Right. That's kind of
Not
why I went that
a big
route,
deal. Yeah, yeah.
and just
And I
craziness.
guess I mean, the only other thing, and this will be covered when you change the website, is the ads that we put out in the papers have it as a full day kind of program, right? So that's going to be a disconnect that we need to make sure people, and I think with the website change, because that
Yeah.
points them to the website anyway. So that should cover
And
everything.
yeah, I'll do my best to make it as as clear that this is new. So I did send out kind of my draft of like the parent email.
Mhm.
One of the questions I had is, I initially had thought I was going to say like, due to some changes in state regulations, we've transitioned to this new model. I didn't in my draft. I just said, for more flexibility and more, pick and choose your own way. Like, I kind of made it not necessarily like it's coming from the state. For I have two minds on this. One is, saying something came from the state, I'm worried there people are going to like be worried that something happened and we have to like
Yeah.
change because we were doing something wrong or whatever. I just, anytime you talk about state regulations, just feels like maybe there was an issue that we're fixing. um
Yeah.
which there was and there wasn't. We never were actually doing anything wrong, but we're still having to change. Um so that's why I kind of went away from it. But I also don't want to I guess annoy people by them being like, why would you introduce this now after all these registrations and a
Yeah.
month and a half away from starting? Like, there's no explanation. So I guess, again, as kind of parents, or as you all,
Yeah. I mean,
thoughts?
I guess there's an in-between thing where you could say, we anticipate in the near future that, we'll need to comply with um,
We're changing
ever-changing, yeah,
program policies,
yeah,
town-based programs, in accordance with, uh, you know, local,
Mm.
uh, I don't know, local
But
something.
something along those lines, just kind
Yeah,
of use
yeah,
some formality stuff of, without trying to make it definitely not sound like we did something wrong, but
yeah,
just,
yeah.
this is the
yeah.
why.
We're
Yeah,
we're
it's
we're
a
adjusting to some policy changes
yeah,
based on uh, camps, program slash camp items, within the state, you know,
yeah,
something that's soft, because yeah, I think, because unfortunately, because we already have some registrations, in the old form, it's I think, without saying it, that's going to end up causing more scuttlebutt.
yeah. And just say it's a transition period, like you said. I think that makes sense.
Okay. So I'll add that to the parent email, and then just some more details of how, now that I have the more logistics worked out, how it's specifically going to go, field trips and all of that.
Okay.
All right. I was hoping to have the field trip costs for you all tonight. I do not. Basically, again, with just everything being stopped, I haven't heard back from the bus company. I'll be honest, I forgot to follow up with them, just dealing with all of these logistics. So I'm going to shoot them out to you all in an email. And then, we can, I don't think we have to vote on the prices. I think we always just did the input, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I think we did vote on, I
We
think
did.
it's in our best interest that we probably capture that in a motion, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was required or,
Yeah.
or not. Okay.
I 99%, 95% sure that, yeah, that should be
Yeah.
under motion, because if it's a posted price, we want to make sure that it had its appropriate stamps.
Yeah, we did that last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then that's a bummer that I don't have that, but I don't.
Well, no, we get it.
So we'll just have to, as soon as I have them, we'll have to figure out, even if it's a 5-minute meeting,
Yeah.
to just hop
Well,
on and.
I think, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, those were, like I said, that was my main focus for tonight. Those were my main things that I wanted to discuss. Obviously, over the next few days, if there's anything you think of or questions you have or anything, I guess just so you're aware, some of the things I worked out with the program directors, a lot of it was focused on check-in and check-out, and attendance, because that's going to be the biggest question with all of this, is making, so we're adding a whole another time period of in and outs. So making sure we know where everyone is, they're ready to go during pickup, blah, blah, blah. So the thought is we're going to have 2 checkout stations, in the middle of the day, we're going to have 2 stations, one for check-in and check-out. So it'll be a check-in and check-out station for the beach water, a check-in and check-out station for the rec activities. They will be manned by each of the program directors, because it'll be the middle of the day. They'll both be there. And their responsibility will be to have communicated to the team leaders the people who are leaving, and making sure they're, out of the water, dry, that kind of thing, or pulled down from the courts, bags packed up, that kind of thing. And really in kind of waiting mode to be picked up. And then obviously anybody checking in would just be passed along. I am assuming the way this is going to go is that most people are going to sign up for both the morning and afternoon. So it's going to be relatively small numbers who are leaving half day and arriving half day. So it's more just going to get those people accommodated. And then the people who are staying, it's really just going to be lunchtime. So we planned the check-in, check-out to be during lunch, so that people are out of the water. And, we're not still having people swimming or, like I said, up in the courts or anything. They're sitting, they're eating lunch, and that's when we do the transition of in and outs. That's kind of the thought, to have everyone consolidated. Make sure, no LITs are in the woods, anything like that. For LITs, we're still just gonna have to do the same program. So there might be 1 or 2 in a section. There really isn't a better way around it. Sorry.
Yep.
So
no, it is, yeah.
It is what it is. And then for staffing ratios, that's going to be one of the hard things. So let's say, so typically we had LIT that was separate, and they would have their own staff, and then K through 3rd grade had their own staff, and then 4th to 6th had their own staff. We're not doing the K through 3 and 4 to 6 division anymore. We might do it a little bit built into the rec activities, just kind of for fun, but otherwise those are gone, because by continuing to subdivide, we were gonna have to do some extra staffing. So for example, if there's 7 LITs in a section, that would technically have to be 2 staff because we would be 1 over. So that would be paying a whole additional staff member for 1 human. But if we're, talking about groups of 30s, 40s, 50s, and including the LITs and including the 4 to 6 and whatever, we can start making those ratios make a little bit more sense. And just less times where we're over by an awkward amount and having to pay an entire extra staff member. So that's our reasoning there. So things are going to be much more clumped, but we are still going to try to have some LIT specific, programs, activities, whether it's prompts for the day or they're running the programs, they're coming up with ideas, they're helping out in the office, they're blah, 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 blah. So we are going to see how to truly still make it an LIT program, but it's just going to be once again subdivided in our already small program.
Okay.
So that's how we're going to handle all that. Check-in in the morning is just going to be 1 location, and it's going to be run by the program director because, again, people are just showing up and then they just say, go this way or go that way. Pretty easy. Check out, again, in the afternoon is probably going to be run by 1 person, but it may, if that seems too hard because they're pulling from 2 locations to leave, they may have 2 team leaders that are running it, and the program director is just overseeing that both are going smoothly and handling parent conversations. I'm kind of leaning towards that model because then we can still have check out be at their own locations. But in the past, we've always hesitated to have team leaders run checkout because it is checking people's IDs and seeing people's forms and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still working that 1 tweak through that doesn't need to be communicated to parents or anything.
Okay.
I think those were most of like the nitty gritty details that might matter to you all just in terms of safety and whatnot. Obviously attendance will still run the same way it runs. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. If you don't have any other questions, I can move on to the other items of the director's report.
Yeah. So, to be honest with you, right, with that piece, I'm just trying to think of if there's something else that I wanted to ask about, just kind of, instead of going through the whole thing, I'm not so sure we need to go through the whole thing.
The director's report?
Yeah.
The only piece I really want to, so it's not in there, but because Jerica just got back to me like an hour ago, but we found out that BVT, we're only going to get to use the competition center, not both the competition center and the old gym. So we have 1 court. And there are even going to be times that we are in the old gym, but we're only in the old gym. So it's either way, we have 1 volleyball court, which brings our numbers down to 11 per night. We had budgeted 34 per night, and then we were thinking maybe 24. Now we're down to 11. So for tagging on the cost to the players, I think the math I did was it was going to have to be like an extra like $950 or something per person for 7 weeks. Unless somehow I do it with the 9 weeks, but that gets even messier because we're split between quarters. And it's just BVT has so many requests, they have to. So my question is there any ability for us to eat any of that cost and go up less?
I'm kind of thinking that we'll have to eat some of it.
Can't go up double, more than double.
Yeah. I mean, if it's, it's one thing if it gets up to, 12 or 13, some people would kind of go, okay, yeah, I kind of understand it. However, yeah, it kind of sucks, blah, 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 that to probably still go. However, if we're getting up to 16, 18, 20 bucks to do it, yeah, I'm assuming that they're not going to ball around the beach somewhere on new sand, right?
Right.
That's going in this week, right? So, yeah.
Oh yeah. They're there right now.
Is that an increase per night, or is that for the whole 7 weeks?
So per player per night, which is just 1 night a week for 7 weeks.
Yeah, it's the payment for the custodian to be there.
Right.
Right.
Right. It would be a little bit less if we do it over the 9 weeks, because it is technically 9 weeks that they're at BVT. It's just the last 2 weeks of this quarter that we're
Yeah.
already signing people up for and registering for and blah blah blah. Is or there are people already signed up because people sign up for the currently open, couple of months that are now, and right now it goes through I think June. So the last 2 of this quarter are going to be the first 2 at BVT. So I don't know. It would be hard to change that price at this point. It's not impossible. I can just basically say, hey, if you got in early, you got the old price, but everybody moving forward has to pay $13, $12, whatever we want to call it. And at least it would help us a bit. But yeah.
So I still don't understand the increase. So you're saying with 11 players, we'd have to increase it by $10?
Almost, yeah.
Is that per session or is that for the whole season?
Per session.
So
Because
that,
I think it's like
Yeah.
717, something like that, for the custodians for the whole 9 weeks.
mhm.
To have a custodian on 9 times. I think that was the number, something around there.
Yeah.
And so originally I had done the math where it was 34 players a night over, we're calling it 7 weeks to not have those awkward 2. So 34 players, 7 weeks, it divides down to only tacking on about $3 per night. That was fine. But now that it's not 34 players, it's 11 players. It's still going to cost $717 to have those custodians. So that would triple how much we would have to increase. So instead of it being $3, it's now $9. Over $9 to have those custodians get paid.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, I guess my question is, what is the highest number we feel comfortable charging per night? And then we just have to eat the rest.
What is it now?
Right now it's 8.
8. And if it were to be the whole cost shouldered by them, it would be 10.
It would be
17 or 18.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay.
18. Let's see, 1750, right?
Yeah, I see. I
yeah.
see. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, which is, hence a little bit more than doubling that cost, right? I mean, if we, could we sell that there's a 50% upcharge for the summer for BVT and it goes to 12, I think someone can go, I can swallow that because I understand it. I think if it's more than that, it's problematic.
Yeah, I mean, so right now we're getting a consistent 25 to 30 people signing up.
We sell out every night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I
So
mean, I think
24 when it's low, 34 when it's high.
I mean, so the other thing is if there are only 11 slots open, the people who are really dedicated to wanting to play are probably going to pay some more, in my view. Like if I was a player and I was like really enthusiastic about playing and willing to pay a little bit more, probably a third of those people are probably going to go with that. I mean, not the full, doubling of price, but
yeah, no, I hear you, but maybe pushing it a bit, 13 or even 14,
yeah,
of just saying like, you're right, we only need a third to want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, yeah, 12 or 13 would be, to me, seem acceptable, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
You said 12, yeah.
Well, I mean, I just said 12 because that's, to me, that's, you lop on an additional 50% on top of that and kind of go, okay, so, we'll go, okay, well, it's 150, now, or 150%, and that's 12. So and that's just where my mind was going. And could it be a 13 or a 14? Still, it feels funky to do that, but then again, we're taking that as an online thing, so it's
Yeah.
not a cash issue, right? It's a online payment piece. So, could we go 13? Yeah, we could probably go 13 and probably get that all day. I'm just worried. I think doubling it is not, unfortunately, not the answer.
No.
No, I agree. I think, obviously we have to eat some of it. I think finding that line between eating the least amount possible, but still,
hmm
having it be reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, explaining that this is a transitional year with the construction and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they all obviously know. I've already changed the locations on there. I've already put,
Yeah.
if they look, plus they're all so close to each other. I'm sure there's group texts. I'm sure they're all asking Jerica. She's communicating,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
everyone knows what's happening. And obviously I'll put it all in an email. I just haven't sent out the blasted, here it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then part of that could be, next year the prices will be more towards what they have been, right? It's not gonna be like,
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll just, the next year, the pricing will just be flat, right?
Right, because we'll be
It'll
back in.
consistent with what it is the rest of the year,
Right.
year round. So,
Right.
Also,
I guess the question will really end up being is when actually is the roof and everything else being done for the gym? Like what, is the gym in the first stage of what's being done?
yeah, it's been made very clear to us we're kicked out the whole summer, from the day the school closes to the day that it opens, and probably beyond that. They said we might not even be back in September when we think we're back.
So and I'm not gonna argue that point. I just don't, all I'm saying is I'm not 100% convinced that so the school and the total grounds right now is all being considered off limits. So, but I'm not 100% convinced that the gym is what's going to get the work this summer. And it could be offline next summer as well.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm going.
Gotcha.
However,
so
if that's
we'll
the
have
case,
the same.
but if that's the case, then maybe Misco is actually back online, because I know we've done things there, and I think I'm pretty sure that they have a mechanism to at least get 2 courts set up there.
Which would be great.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So we'll
see.
figure it out. The other thing I'm realizing, I just checked, because I realized with 11 means I need to cut registration to 11. So I really don't think there's a way around. I need to cancel the last 2 dates of this quarter, refund everybody those amounts, and open them up as individual registrations because I need to cap it at 11.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I can make all 9 weeks the increased cost.
Unless they're not at the 11 yet.
They're not, but the system, I mean, I can just check basically every other day, but the system doesn't let me cap it for just dates. I would have to cap it for the whole session.
Oh.
So
you'd have to change. Yeah, I get you.
Right. And then honestly, until the one before that hits, I couldn't even cap it then. So I just have to kind of keep canceling people if they registered. I think in that same email, I can just communicate for all dates at BVT, you've received your refund. If you signed up for those dates, they are open again. But this is the reality of that.
Yep.
And here's the new costs, choose to pay it. And then at least that way we're going this increased cost at 9 weeks instead of, which will help. I haven't done the math on what that would be. I think it's 717. That's the number that's sticking in my head. I think if my math is right, that's 725, but Rick obviously checked my math. So that would be like 15. So if we're saying 13, right, then it's only
we're-
costing us 225
Yeah.
a player, you know, a night. It's not
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's the way to go. It'll limit how much we eat.
Yep.
And I think 13's a reasonable number. It's not quite double.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the only other really important one that I needed to discuss. Just some very brief things, the credit card reader. So it looks like we're going to be able to go forward with Square with that. Not a ton you all need to know, but I did get the sign-offs to move forward with the very big, hey, you got to figure it all out yourself. So I'm like trying to call Unibank and blah, blah, blah. But that's where we're at. The actual item cost $60 and then no monthly fee, and it was much lower on the credit card fees. So that $60 is going to be paid off in no time, from what the MyRec credit card reader stuff was going to cost us.
Yep.
So definitely a good
That's great.
way to go there.
Yeah.
Registrations we talked about, financial program, blah, blah, blah. Not a ton of other updates. Pickleball is going to ask for a summer porta potty. They said it's going to be included in the cost of what we give them. They're already building it into the cost for their kind of annual amount. It's just going to be from when soccer ends to when soccer begins, paying for their own.
Yep.
I told them it
Okay.
has to be the handicap accessible one. There we go. And then otherwise, goals. So I think I sent you an email, unless I sent it
Yep.
to everyone. The like end of year employee evaluation stuff. They're pushing to have it due June 1st. So Rick, we should set up a time soon to go over things.
Yeah.
I did do my 2 financial classes, so those are checked off. And then that one, last big newsletter is going out once all these details are worked out. So that'll check that one off, and
Yep.
then we'll move forward from there.
Okay. Yeah. And well, is there any, I mean, with Kristen now, and is there any differences in forms or anything else, or is it the same type of format that we
Yeah,
always used?
not that I've been told. We just had our director meeting, the other day, and
Yeah.
I haven't been told that anything was different. Just said
Okay.
I'm gonna send out the, schedule, but here you all know. And I think all the forms are probably the same.
Okay.
But I do know that I think that Town Manager Act is in effect now. I have to double check, but I think it is. So I may have to have the same meeting with Kristen as I do with you, as like
Okay.
having dual supervisors.
Mm.
That would be my
Okay.
guess. So that might be new. And I'm not sure how that'll work in terms of it all. But
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going in tomorrow in person, so I can ask. Oh yeah, Rick, I kind of forgot to tell you when I was going in. It just fell off.
That's okay.
You good
No,
now?
I think you've been seeing, I wasn't expecting you to keep telling me every week or every day when you're going in. It was, look, I mean, I gave you my blunt statement once I heard on the other thing and going, oh boy, right?
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open type thing, because I'm worried on where some things are going.
Yeah.
That's just you're honest with us. I'm on it, just being honest with you and all that, and kind of going, just watch yourself. And that's part of the reason why I told you, man, it might be a little scuttlebutt that no one sees you around all that much. Yeah, but I think you've been seeing more now that hey, the summer's coming, right? Springing, and you're around now, so, or you're starting to be seen a little bit more, and that's
Right.
great.
It's kind of the nature of
Absolutely.
I'm in more anyway because I'm in more anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I think at the end of the day, that's just one of those, okay, we're in good shape. So, yeah.
Great. Okay.
Cool.
All right. think those were my, you know, I don't think anything else was important. Went down.
Yeah, I think the only thing, let's see, yeah, I was just trying to think if there was something else that I saw. Have we gotten any I'm assuming there's some financial assistance pieces.
We
Has
haven't
anyone
opened
submitted?
it. Well, we haven't opened it because
Oh, right.
we
Yeah,
paused
yeah.
with not knowing, and then now it's with Tanya and Katie about how to lay out the requests for the new
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
So I created a new form for them with kind of it's a lot of like weird conditional formatting of here and here and how to sign up and check off and check the boxes and whatever. It's
Yep.
similar to the form that I'm going to send out to families who are already registered of like how to kind of display it. So anyway, I built that out, sent it over to them. They're editing it now. And I think we're probably going to open it in the next few days.
Got it.
But it was, I made it clear to them it's on hold because we didn't even know if we were going to run Kids at Play.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. And I should have thought through that before I even asked the question. And no, that's the
all the moving
logical
parts.
answer. So,
Yeah, no worries.
I probably need to reach back out to. Oh, hold on. I was going to say something, but that might be one of the next things on the list. So hold on. No director's report. Okay, so it's just RecCom updates that we were going to be going into, and I guess this kind of rolls right into one of them is the field stuff. I believe I've got a good handle on the requirements that we've been asked for. I did send a thing over to Dennis and, well, because we still had some, like the softball ones
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple that are actually probably getting dangerously close to, hey, we now need to, there's a couple others that we need to look at and approve, right?
I think yeah.
So
I think it's just the spring ones. Let's see. This one would start August, July.
But
yeah.
But there's other ones like, did you do the Rick Rankins one and the Donna for Kiwanis for softball?
Everything that was in your list, yes. And then you and I emailed that one separate time where you said go ahead. And so I did.
Okay. And what did they do?
Whatever we wrote in that email.
Right. But you build them, you put a billing on it. Have you heard back from them?
I haven't heard back from them, but it is technically a double season because it's like,
oh, I understand,
15 weeks long or 16 weeks long or something.
Oh yeah. No,
So I built them double. I built them for 2.
Yeah. So okay. No, so cool. I was expecting that we were going to hear back on that only because they're really not anything. They're just a group of old sports folks that wanted to do something active and thought it would be cool. So,
oh, are you talking about the like PE class, adult PE class one then? Oh, so I did hear back from them.
Oh, okay.
They said you can go ahead and delete it, and I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Chris, I don't know if you heard, basically we had a request. It was for 2 days a week, blah, 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 blah. So I said, accept. And I think it was like 2,200. So I was like, yeah, accept. This is the cost. Go ahead and pay it or let me know. Because I cut out the summer months, I just said, if that schedule doesn't work for you now, let me know and I'll delete it. And they just said, go ahead, delete it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
This past, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before. Oh, wait a minute. Was it this past Sunday? No, Sunday before. Yeah, Sunday before. So I went down to close the lower gate because I had opened it up knowing that there was a request for handicap parking for some of the soccer stuff on Saturday. They had late games going on, like the last one actually would have finished under the lights. So So I went down there the next morning and closed the gate. Or the lower gate anyway. And there were
Yep.
there was a whole group of guys going on the softball field.
Mhm.
And I went, So I walk over and I'm like, all right, so who's in charge? Like who's the ringleader of whatever's going on here? And
Yeah.
I immediately got oh, not me, and the cross pointing and all that type of stuff. And then
Yeah.
one guy starts yelling and like mouthing off, and one of the other guys goes, hey, like Joe, I don't think he's joking, right? Please settle down, right? And then one of them asked me like, okay, and who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm Rick Porter. I'm the chair of the Recreation Commission, and I can honestly tell you, nobody's approved to use this field at this time right now. So what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And
So
it was.
Good.
I was just gonna say it was guys from Rick Rankins's group that they just kind of like preseason knocking some rust off and getting the cobwebs out of the system and that type of stuff. And I saw a number of them that had Upton Men's Club, not Upton Men's Club, Upton softball type of shirts on, and I kind of went, all right, like fields are. You're not going to ruin the fields being out here for a couple hours, knowing how that's going. So I kind of, I thanked them at the end of the day for not being too mean to me, and I went, but you guys got to understand, right? It's it's one of those, you need a permit in order to be rightfully on the fields, because the one up top, the upper parking lot, there's out of towners that come in, tear it up. They're leaving stuff all over the place up there, and it's not cool. So,
well, I was going to ask about this because I had a conversation, no one knows when, at some point I was doing something, inventory or whatever, and a guy and his son, were walking by, and they struck up a conversation. I think it was last fall, and they just wanted to know, if group of high school kids want to come, he's like, I've seen kids, throwing the football around on the softball outfields, running routes with each other, 3-4 kids. Is that allowed? Because they technically don't have a reservation, but
Right.
this is like a public park,
right,
ish. And I told him, the answer was, that is a gray, right? Because like it is a public area, you're allowed to be on the beach, you're allowed to use the tennis courts, you're allowed to use the basketball courts, you're allowed to you're allowed to be in this area as a drop-in public space. And the fields, the ones who reserve it in order to be able to kick anybody else off, saying we reserved it because this is ours during this time.
This is our designated time.
Right. But people who are drop-in, where the fields are just open and there's no, closed or stay off signage, are they actually not allowed to because they don't have a reservation? And that was interesting. And my question to you all, and actually I'm glad you brought this up because I had forgotten, was when we kept getting paused with our plans for what to use our site improvement money on. I thought, we're not going to get, the softball field or the upstairs of the Racine building done before end of June now. Or I don't think we are. Is there at least some of it that can be spent on some high, nice permanent signage that can go on the fields that just makes it clear? The softball field sign is old and ratty and barely says anything. There could be some spruced up signage around the beach that just says, swim at your own risk if no lifeguards on duty. Some of the other criteria that are maybe even either the things have changed or we could just be more clear, and maybe just get some nicer and more permanent signage, or even ones that can be changed in fall, spring, summer, winter on the fields that say blah, blah, blah. Because I do think it is a public space. But, and that isn't made clear anywhere, where if I go to try to kick some people off, I don't have anything to point to.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean,
can that be site improvement? Because it would be permanent?
I think so. And the wording would be, to cover the gray area would be, um, group sports with X number of people must be registered to use the field, something like that? Or how would it be
I,
if a
I,
dad and his kid want to go throw the football? I mean, that's right.
Right.
So how do
yeah, I
you
mean,
gotta,
someone's gonna walk by some signs anyway, but
Sure.
if you post something that says field use via permit only, right? You keep it short, simple, clean,
Yeah.
clear,
Honestly,
boom.
here's the QR code.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna ask a funny one, of, in the office at the beach, is there signage? Is there a bunch of new signs that have never gotten put out?
New signs, no. Old signs, yes.
Are you sure they're old signs?
Which signs are you thinking of?
For some reason, I'm thinking we had just gotten some brand new signs like right before the Andrew incident. And I'm not 100% sure if they ever got put out.
Oh, old meaning 5 years ago now.
Yes,
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 there are
but
definitely some signs from 5 years ago that are in the office.
but they're newer than signs that are up in certain areas now.
Yes, and some of them we do use. So, for example, when there is potential algae, we pull them out, and there's like a little whiteboards part where you add the, date or the specific event. So we do have some of those that are pulled out, but they're all used on kind of a temporary basis where we
Yeah,
like
yeah,
lean
yeah.
them up against the lifeguard stand.
Got it.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, for some reason, I was thinking that I thought we had a thing for fields or something somewhere.
But honestly,
And
like even up on the soccer field, we have nothing that says stay off of the field unless DPW remembers to put up the like closed for the season sign. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But like we don't have anything
yeah,
posted that says stay off this field. So again, me as a teenage soccer player with my friends, I might be like, hey, cool, there's an open field. Nothing says we can't go on it.
Mhm.
yeah. And honestly, I think I had sent something to Dennis in the middle of the fall, and someone bent one of the pins to the doors pretty significantly to the point where you can't open it or close it now. And it's kind of been opened all winter, right? Which I was really worried about someone going up there with a motorized something and
Mhm.
tearing things up, but
Right.
thankfully I don't think that happened.
Oh, that reminds me, the gatehouse door got it. Someone got in again. Nothing to get in there, but someone did. So I think someone just knows the code and we just have to reprogram the code. But Dennis is gonna take a look about either reprogramming or even redoing the locks again. But I don't think it's someone with a key. I think it's someone who knows the code
Yeah, okay. That
because it's
sounds,
every gatekeeper knows the code and then they tell their
yeah,
friend and blah blah blah.
yeah.
So
I
again,
think,
there's nothing to get in there, but just letting you know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think I think it's at the end of every season, it probably makes sense that, we change it and then you can probably use it for the following summer, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the summer, you change it again. Only a couple people know what it is, and then it rolls through the next summer, and then at the end of the next summer, you change it again.
Yep. I think that's exactly it.
So it's just the timing of when you change it. Don't wait until the beginning of the new season to change it. Change it after the old season ends.
Right. No, I think that's exactly right. But so far it doesn't seem like anybody has gotten into the office again. So I don't think it's the new keys that we've kind of kept a little bit more secure. I think
Yeah,
it's the code.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, oh, but yeah, so on the site improvement, is there anything else? I had that thought about signs, but is there anything else? I mean, we have 16 grand.
What about the tennis nets? Don't those have to be replaced?
Right. I need to get
Yes.
those. Yeah, you're right. I need to get those ordered ASAP.
Yeah, we probably should put that on there.
Yep.
I don't see any reason why that couldn't go against site improvements.
Mhm.
you know,
And yeah, the other thing was I guess that was brought up a while ago, maybe in the fall, was the cracks in the tennis courts. I think the pickleball people were bringing that up. Like, is something going to be done about patching those cracks or mitigating
Yeah.
the issue
I,
there? I don't know. Can
The
anything be
answer was
Yeah.
basically no, but if we
Yeah,
have 16 grand, maybe.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
well, I
that's
mean, yeah, it's, you know, that's where you need to be careful of just trying to put fill in to seal it a little bit. I mean, certainly it cracked last spring because of we had so much rain, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it shifted things, and next thing you know, there's a small amount of separation. So
yeah. I mean, I guess if we have one of these court specialty resurfacing companies go up and say, yeah, you'll increase the longevity of the court by 5 years if you do X, right? Then that's a
Yeah.
worthwhile investment for us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rick, do you mind
Uh,
sending me the contact? Because I know you were kind of the point person with that company.
it can, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know if there's
Can't hurt to
someone
get a
else that's,
quote and evaluation.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know if there's someone else that might be a little bit more local that would do a small thing. I mean, they were like Bill Ricker or Andover or something like that. They were quite far away. Doesn't mean we can't, but it may not be like if it's just for looking at a repair scenario, might be a lot of extra cost that's involved in doing that versus, you know, finding out,
Yes.
you know, figuring out someone else that's a little bit more local.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Huh.
yeah, I'll dig it up and find it. Yeah. I mean, it
Okay.
won't, I mean, again, you know, I think I had gone and asked about it at one point and it was just kind of like, yeah, there's
Hmm.
new charge, sure, right? You know, something old, yeah, that's, you know, or covered under warranty, yeah, that's not gonna be warranty, that's an outdoor thing, right? We didn't do anything wrong, right, when we put it in, so it's not
Right,
gonna get covered under a warranty scenario.
Wear and
which
tear.
makes sense. And I would want to make sure that if we did have an outside company come in, it also wouldn't void our warranty because they'd be like, well, someone else fiddled with our work.
Yeah, 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 but I'm pretty sure when I went back and looked at it, I mean, I don't, you know, there's a small warranty window anyway. I don't think things are still under warranty based on that job. So,
Got it. Okay, just like a couple of
Yeah.
months or 1 year. Got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I guess it doesn't have to be answered tonight, but if you all have thoughts about site improvement, you know, like I said, the kind of bigger ideas that we had with the softball field and stuff obviously kept getting paused because of the town manager delay.
Yeah.
So I would love to just figure out like and again, I don't know what that criteria is. You know, it would be really, really helpful to have one more one more iPad type of thing for the gatehouse because I was gonna pull the nice iPad that we use for clocking staff in and out for the gatehouse so that the nicer one was out there, but then we'd have a really not nice one for clocking staff in and out. Could something
Yeah.
like that because it would be physically at the beach for, you know, and anything to be run there on site, it's not being used for any other purpose. Is something like that a improvement to the site, or is that kind of more of a parks expense to get an additional iPad? I don't know.
Yeah, would they see that as I'm not, so that part of it, I'm not 100% sure that Kenny would see that as a site improvement.
I'm guessing that's a stretch, but I guess the things like that, I'm trying to get creative with like,
Yeah, no,
are there things that would improve
yeah,
the area,
yeah,
signage or whatever, that we could put some of this money towards. And even another thing, and I don't know if it has to be permanent, but like one of the things we keep hearing about during interviews is there's the area if you're looking at the water to the left, it's kind of, it gets a little like marshy and people like to go fishing and stuff there. But it's also full of frogs and kids love to try to go in that area, and it is a blocked off area. Is there something that maybe we could have some temporary stanchiony type of cords like the ones, with the concerts, but maybe, I don't know, something a little different, that could be put
Yeah.
up for the season and then taken down at the end of the season or something. Again, site improvements, things to improve the site for the
Yeah.
purposes of.
Yeah, and I know that there's frogs, and I know it can be marshy, it can be froggy. That's usually where the LITs go, and but it's also an area where there's a little bit of shade, right? So,
Well, the
so
grass area is fine with the picnic tables. That's all great. It's the actual water part. It's the
oh, okay.
leftmost
Yeah.
part about it's like just past where the kayaks are stored, but the actual water, the kids love to splish
Oh,
splash.
oh, yeah,
And it's, especially when they're, supposed to be eating lunch, and we have multiple staff members who just stand there as a wall because the kids just won't not.
well,
It's
yeah.
so anyway, again, I'm trying to get creative, but are there things that this money can be spent on to improve the thing? And then if the answer is no, can it be, because it's a budget line, can it be rolled over into like the lifeguard beach director budget line if and when we go over? I know it can't be rolled over into rec revolving or parks revolving.
Yeah, yeah, good question, and I'm not sure of that answer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are some of my thoughts with some of these things. But I would love, we only have one more meeting before it's the end of the fiscal year. I would love to know, what are we doing our best to spend this money on?
Yeah.
Is there anything site-wise that is functional now but might need to be replaced next year? Like have some backup things? Like say it was the nets and we could get another year out of the nets, for instance,
Right.
but we would order new nets to be installed next year. Does that count as site improvement for this year if we get kind of
I think if the spend is in this year, it might.
like obviously I think it sounds like we need to get the tennis nets this
Right.
year.
Yeah. So I can get those
Uh,
ordered. And actually, we talked about the bleachers, right?
we absolutely talked about bleachers, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that was on me, I think, right, of getting that data back to. So I had resent, okay, so I had resent it to Joe probably 2 or 3 times. But do I need to get that to like yourself and Dennis and Mike, right? And just kind of go, hey, here are ones that I had found that were ADA compliant to round off what we were doing for ADA compliant stuff. Because I think there was one of those, can we get 2 of them? One for softball field and one for the soccer lacrosse field, right? Knowing that at least that puts the tagline on it saying, it's a further step in the right direction. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and I will be fully honest, the area that I know the least about with all of Kiwanis is that upper soccer field, because I just really am not up there much, without kids at play being up there. It's not in my normal rhythms. So to kind of answer Chris's question, Rick, even like, are there lights that maybe don't work? Like I'm picturing more like spotlights, not the big lights. Or you said that fence is broken. Are there any, I know a lot of those are DPW related things, but like, are there,
Yeah.
again, signage? Is there signage that can be spruced up, or?
You know what? I mean, I quite honestly, that might be a great thing of going, hey, so DPW, right? We've got some of the site improvement things, and is there some signage that we want to put up at West River as well, right? Some new signage down there, some signage, in the upper field, or something, right? You know, locking systems, yeah, fixing that door, the fencing door, fixing some other areas of the fence that's curling up and all that type of stuff, right? Bringing someone else in to, kind of straighten out some of what's up there,
Yeah. Yeah.
It might not be a bad thing to kind of do, but maybe that's also something in for next year. Well, maybe that's something we can do short term and try to get in this year, and maybe, because I'm just thinking by the time you order, at this point, by the time you order bleachers and get them in, I'm worried when the invoices would hit and whether or not Kenny would get them onto this year's budget versus, then all of a sudden, something, it
So
doesn't
it's
get delivered until the very
right. It's about the
end.
delivery date. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I have to imagine, obviously I can, we can look into it, but I have to imagine something that's ordered nowish. I mean, we have 2 months, so I have to imagine that that's still a pretty fair amount of time for bleachers to get delivered. Um, and I hope, if we're talking to reps or whatever, like they could let us know if that's true or not.
yeah,
Um, but so I think that's my first choice because it's a need, it's a high cost item, and presumably we still have the time, and then kind of trickle down, maybe piece if there's 2,000 left, we piece some signage together or something that we need.
right, right.
Um, but yeah, let's go down that route first because I hear you, and it is about delivery, not submitting the invoice.
Yeah,
But I think as long as, I mean, I can submit invoices June 30th, and they're fair game. Technically, I can submit invoices July 1st in their fair game, or July 3rd in their fair game, because
yeah,
it's about being delivered, and then you just have to get them in ASAP.
yeah, I
So,
got it.
um, yeah, let's go down that rabbit hole. Do you mind sending
Okay,
me what you had sent out to Joe, and then I
yep.
can kind of start?
Meaning, yes, I will not, yes, I mind.
Yes, I mind. I will not do it. I refuse. Good luck.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think if there was something else there. Yeah, I guess really just going back on the fields piece though, I think some of that is, um, opening things up earlier because, certainly I think Chris Schmidt from Nipmuc anyway is looking, he needs some of the preseason stuff to be done and just, he, he believes he's gonna need morning shifts for about a week and a half. So, uh, you know,
Yeah.
again, I think it's just one of those scenarios where I know, Dennis and Gary and company are probably gonna go, no, this is, what we normally agree to, but it may end up being one of those that, not that I want to go over their head, but, we may have to go select board. We
Being
agreed,
good neighbors. Yeah.
we agreed, as towns that we're gonna fund the budget to have their fields redone. And if anyone thought that we weren't going to need to take on additional town field time
Yeah.
for the schools to use, wasn't thinking far enough. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's a cold, hard reality, and, and I'm hoping it doesn't ruin the fields. I mean, I think we've done a good job talking with Mendon, spreading a couple things out, so it's not killing our fields. It's not necessarily going to kill their fields, but it's going to be, it's going to be something that it'll put a little extra tax on where people are.
Yeah.
Just that's the reality. So
Right. Right. We all have to kind of help out.
Yeah.
While this is going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so anyway,
Are we BBT? I know just has some. They had just pinged me about some normal renovation-y, not massive like Nipmuc stuff that they're doing. We're not taking any of their teams or anything. There was something about a roof, but I don't think any of their outdoor teams have been affected. But
Oh,
you don't know of
yeah,
anything
I
coming
don't,
over from BBT, right?
I haven't heard a word,
Okay.
so, I mean, but the last couple of years, they've always asked for, there's some odd times that they've asked to be able to use Kiwanis. But, this year it's gonna be, I don't know whether or not we'd be able to accommodate that, right? That,
Right.
could we? Maybe, but we'd have to check and see what NIMBUC schedule is and whether or not they've got a plan on it.
Right.
Because, Chris
And wear
fully
and tear.
expects,
Right.
well, Chris fully expects that, 1 or 2 days a week, it's, the high school kids are gonna be there.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're talking to them, I do think it would be very helpful for them to submit an official reservation. So we have everything documented, just because there are times that, Dennis asked me this question, or so, the PTO is trying to
Yeah,
plan this and they're asking about here. And I know you tend to have the whole, schedule mapped out in your head, but I'm not in your head. And so when I'm getting asked questions,
it's right here. See that
yeah.
here? No, just kidding.
So anyway, I know you'll do the puzzle piece to make it all work, but
Yeah.
if at the end all the puzzle pieces are officially submitted, correctly, I think
Yeah,
that
sure.
would be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can figure that out, and, we can work it. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And again, I know it would be, at no cost, but just so it's in there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And that way we can officially point to it as, yeah, it's a confirmed time that they've got it between this window and that window. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Last call.
Yeah, just very
Chris.
briefly,
Yeah.
all the performer agreements,
Mhm.
I got signed, she reviewed and signed all the agreements, and I sent those back to all the bands. So those are all set. The only other thing was,
Do I have copies of all those?
um,
Can I have copies of all those?
yes, you may.
Great.
I will send them. The other thing was, the sponsorship piece.
Yes.
I haven't heard back from Philip Reagan, the former School of Rock guy, so I'm not gonna bug him anymore. And then the guy, Steven at Unibank, actually called me a couple of weeks ago, and he said they were in the midst of changing the process for applying for these sponsorships, and so there was a little bit of a delay. But he said ours is in now, and
Okay.
he seemed pretty positive about things, so he's going to get back to me once they meet. I think they met. They're probably going to meet at sometime before the end of May, he said. So we'll know if we get some sponsorship money from them for Kids at Play kind of field trip sponsorship thing to offset something. So
Great.
And I think that's it. As far as I know, the ad went into the Northbridge, Whitensville kind of news thing, similar to the Mendon Upton one.
Perfect.
I haven't. I'm going there tomorrow to Shaw, so I'll see if I can pick up a copy and see if it went in.
Nice.
But yep. So that's about it for me.
Great. You reminded me of one thing, actually. Rick, did you see I sent over the letter of support from Mike Antonellis about the bathrooms and that kind of stuff? It just needs to be signed by you and sent back. Probably about a week ago.
I will look. I don't remember seeing that. But then again, I could have defaulted into a couple of different folders based on what I had going on. So,
All right, I was gonna
I
say you
will-
also had about 40 other.
I will check. Mike A,
Here.
support bathrooms. Okay.
I'm just gonna send it right now. It was on the 24th, but I'll just forward it so that you have it at the top.
Okay. Yeah. No. Cool.
Sent. All right, great. Yeah, so if you just get those back to him, they're just looking to continue on with the grant applications.
Yeah, got it. Okay. No, will do.
Perfect.
I'm gonna throw up, well, not throw up, but I'm gonna share.
Earl?
If, are you seeing my screen right now
Mhm.
Yep.
with an Excel form? So,
Yep.
Yep.
so this is that tracking thing that I had done before. So I had
Right.
gotten, so I opened it up. So that's why I knew, okay, we had a starting balance and then I knew what the ending balance ended up being, hence the starting balance of the next year. Kenny had sent some numbers out. So basically if they're black, I would say that they're actuals and he's posted them, right? And I think those match, you know, what's been in his forms and then Vadar and that type of stuff. The ones in red, because even his latest one, has some values in it, which I don't know, maybe. So I just it's an unfinished number is the number in red here. Revenue definitely is not there, but I did a quick pull on in my rec for those numbers, right? Just to get a general feel of what it seemed like it might have been. So, you know, basically, you know, it's that the April obviously is way down, but that's also because, like you said, we were uh we were kind of in a holding pattern and not pushing registrations all that much because we didn't know which way we were going. So that's kind of a
What
big hit because it's half of what we would have normally taken in from previous years.
question? The number that I just posted on the director's report was like for revenue was like 89 or something. Is that everything that's in black?
Yeah, so let's see. That is 89,
Yeah.
458.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So the numbers I'm sharing are revenue through February,
Yes.
expense through April.
Expense through April. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better.
And that's Kenny, you know, and you know, it's just the way that it seems to
It is.
always be done in the town. And do we have a clear piece? I don't know, right? I mean, this is
at least better. Freaking out a lot less when it's 230 and 130 than when it's 230 and 90.
yeah, but even, you know, even so, I mean, you know, if we've missed half of this one, even if these numbers hit as normal, that's, you know, it's an extra 80K, right? Let's call it 75, right? I mean, we're already, so to your point, we're already lower. Now, that doesn't necessarily have, you know, the volleyballs and some of the other miscellaneous ones in there, but it's not gonna, you know, those don't change the needle as much as the kids that play numbers. So
Right.
anyway, so just,
Yep.
it is what it is. You know, depending on how these two numbers end up coming in, yeah, they'll, you know, we're probably, you know, we probably are setting ourselves up a little bit for, you know, a you know, a temporary downfall here. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to make some estimates of what these are just based off of looking, you know, kind of looking at some of the other things here, right? Where, you know, yeah, that 43 number, certainly, you know, a bunch of other expenses that we had in, but there's also 2 weeks of camp, sorry, program.
1 week.
Well, no, it was more last year. I think last year was more. We didn't have as many snow days. I think
Was it?
we had it was more than one. Maybe it wasn't a full 2, but it was more than one,
Okay. Anyway.
right? I don't know. If you
Well,
go
what-
if you go
well,
back
what-
and
what
look, I
was-
think
Do you have the year before? 33.
33. So
And there's
an
still,
extra 10
yeah,
an extra 10K.
an extra's 10K, but remember some of that was we had the program director, and wasn't there another? I feel like there was another something that hit then. Anyway, yeah. but I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Big. So anyway,
Yep.
it's just,
Okay.
you know, even if that came back in and, you know, we figure out what some of these numbers end up being, right? We can at least guesstimate of where, what the numbers are gonna look like with a hiccup in the middle based off of our lack of push. And maybe some of it'll recover a bit. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean,
We'll
we're
have to
still
see.
going to be in spitting distance to that 270 on the expense side.
On the expense side, well, yeah, but the problem is if the revenue isn't, you know, we were assuming that the revenue is supposed to be a zero-sum game, so we can't, you know, yeah, we're not getting called to the carpet because we're not going to get to the 270 number, but if we're not making the revenue and it's still at a loss, then that'll
Right.
just mean it's a different conversation. So
Right. And it's, you know, I say it every time.
Yeah.
It's what we're saying. We're not confused. We understand we're coming under, and you know, we had built up enough buffer to withstand a few years of this, but those few years need to be us in the process of changing. We can't wait till we've run out of our buffer budget and then
Yeah.
say we need to start changing. It's just can't.
Yeah, exactly. So okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So just wanted to share.
No, I appreciate that. And Parks,
Right,
I think, is, oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, Parks is, you know, there
Darn.
isn't a lot going on Parks wise, or, you know, yeah, site, beach, like nothing else has really changed. So.
Yep.
But I wasn't expecting any of those to change just yet. So.
The
Anyway, yeah.
parking passes will hit. That'll be a few hundred, just so you know. That'll come down the line soon, because those are just ordered.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. That'll be a May expense.
Okay. Cool. All right. Next meeting.
Next meeting.
So we sticking with Wednesdays?
Well, so do we want to think about something in like another 2 weeks, just even if it's small, to go over field trip costs?
So if it's field trips, honestly, I'd love it to be like ASAP. Basically, the day I can finally say, hey, I have those numbers back from, you know, bus company and whatever. If we can just pick, it could be 2:00. Like it could be any time that the three of us can hop on a 5-minute meeting for you two to say, hey, I voted, right? And that we can submit an agenda in enough time. Like I would do it like that.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
You know,
Yep.
and then we could just have any proper meeting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
What it's just a matter of once you go, okay, you know, like maybe we use the text to say, hey, I've got all the pricing in for field trips, right?
Right.
And then,
Hop on and
you know,
say your
what's-
fancy words
what-
and let's get out of here.
yeah, what's the next 2-3 days look like, depending on what day you notify us, and
Correct.
you know, then we figure out what we can do. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
All
right.
plan.
So
I
then,
think the
other
next
than
true
that,
meeting.
yeah, I mean, I know we're May 5th, so are we talking the beginning of June?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
What's
do you
that?
want to, what day of the week is good?
Yeah, I'm good on Wednesdays or Thursdays. I'm fine to stick on Wednesdays until concerts start, or we could
Mhm.
just start transitioning to Thursdays now. But Rick, I know that tends to be around your schedule.
I'd say let's, you know, usually the first Wednesday of the month, just saying is usually the CPC meeting. We now don't have it tomorrow only because we've got town meeting on Thursday. So, you know, normally that would be like the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm fine if we wanted to say it's the 4th.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You know, kind of keep it in the beginning of the month. I don't mind doing the back-to-back pieces and kind of having it done, and then
Yep.
working from there. I just know June does tend to get a little nuts for me, just because of soccer playoffs and MTalk and all kinds of other things. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's
And I'm always fine, like if, Rick, if it's the week before or even the week of and you're, especially if we haven't even sent the agenda yet and you just say,
Yeah.
hey, can we push it a week or can we push it to next Tuesday or whatever?
Yeah.
We can usually be pretty flexible about those things, I
Yeah.
think.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just be careful what that's almost one of those be careful what you wish for, because I can go, well, let's just push it out to next week, and next week ain't gonna be any better. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
So the 11th, okay.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Right.
Yeah,
We'll-
see you in
So,
August.
We'll shoot for the
Yeah.
4th. We'll shoot for the 4th then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. We'll shoot for the 4th and see what happens and go from there. Okay,
Sounds good.
cool.
All
right,
right, thank you, thank
eight-
you.
8:47, we'll adjourn here.
Sounds
I don't
good.
know if we need a technically, well, we probably need
I'll second that.
we'll need a roll call vote for doing that at some point. So, but it's a little more formal when we have like 6 or 7 members in CPC that we have to go through. So anyway, all right. But yeah, anyone object? Yeah, I didn't hear anything. So we'll call the meeting adjourned.
Yay.
All right.
That's yes.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you all.
Very good. All right.